Hi, I'm Catherine Pemberton. Welcome to the Powder Magazine. Charleston's Powder Magazine has been witness to over 3 centuries of South Carolina's and American history. This small building was built in 1713 and is the oldest public building in the Carolinas or Georgia. It's also today a vibrant museum owned and operated by the National Society of the Colonial Dames of America in the state of South Carolina. With the development of its early fortification system, Charleston, South Carolina became the only substantial walled city in British North America. From the 1690s to the 1730s, the walls not only protected a fledgling colony, but they also influenced growth and architecture and helped to define Charleston's urban spaces. Locating the Powder Magazine at the northwest corner of the walled city meant that it was far enough from the bustling waterfront and harbor in a less populated area. Today, the building seems set at an angle to the street. That's because it predates the street and was oriented to the fortification lines. The Powder Magazine is the only part of this early fortification system that remains above ground. As threats from the Spanish and French, pirates and indigenous groups diminished over the 18th century, Charleston expanded economically and physically. Let's take a look at the building's purposeful design. The low, heavy structure is roughly 33 feet square. Its massive brick walls almost 3 feet thick. Inside, the building features 4 sets of intersecting arches called groin vaults. The brick becomes thinner as it reaches the top. Legend has it that the vaults were packed with tons of sand, and indeed this type of vaulting was designed to carry heavy loads. In case of an explosion, the building was designed to give way at the weak point of the arch, and the sand in the roof would come down to dampen any sort of explosion. Thankfully, this method of construction never had to be tested. But why was all this necessary? It's hard to understate the importance of gunpowder in the 18th century. Black powder, also called gunpowder, was necessary to fire pistols, muskets, and cannons, all needed for the defense of the town and its inhabitants from myriad threats. So it was an essential and valuable commodity. The powder receiver kept track of every barrel of powder coming in and out of the city, and the building was guarded around the clock by soldiers and militia members. After a period of disuse, the Powder Magazine was recommissioned during the War for American Independence. In March 1780, the powder receiver paid for, quote, boards and carpenter's work to repair the magazine behind the old church. These repairs were happening in the lead up to the British siege of the city. Just days before Charleston surrendered on May 12, 1780, a British shell landed approximately 10 yards from the powder-packed magazine. General Moultrie, writing in his memoir, stated, quote, in consequence of that shell falling so nearby, I had the powder, 10,000 pounds, removed to the northeast corner of the exchange and had the doors and windows bricked up. Notwithstanding the British had possession of Charleston so long, they never discovered the powder, end quote. After the new magazine, located several blocks away, blew up in a spectacular fashion on May 15, 1780, it's likely that the British reused this old magazine during their occupation until they left in late 1782. After its active use as a gunpowder magazine, the building was used for several different purposes. Ownership of the lot descended in the Burtell, Izard, and Manigault families, though the government had commandeered it for public use. After the family petitioned to have it returned to them, it was used as a residential outbuilding, then rented out as a print shop, livery stable, and blacksmith shop. Archaeologically, we have found evidence of all these uses, including objects used by the militia, like dice, wine bottles, glasses, even smoking pipes. We've also found teacups and other domestic wares from the building's use as part of a residential complex. We've also found print-type letters from the printing press that was located here, and an assortment of horseshoes and stirrups from the livery stable. The blacksmith who worked in the space likely fashioned the open-work wrought-iron door for ventilation and to show off his skills. This door can be seen in one of the earliest depictions of the building, a Harper's Weekly article from 1860. Perhaps the most intriguing use of the building during the 19th century was as a Madeira wine cellar for the Manigault family. We know from this inventory that Charles Manigault stored his prized collection of thousands of bottles of Madeira here. Madeira thrives in heat and humidity, but it didn't fare too well during the Civil War, as soldiers from both sides helped themselves to Mr. Manigault's treasure. By the turn of the 20th century, the Manigault family stated that the building was in ruinous condition, and they felt that, quote, the time had almost come when it must be removed altogether, end quote. In 1902, the National Society of Colonial Dames in America in the state of South Carolina purchased the powder magazine from the estate of Dr. Gabriel Manigault for $1,000 and worked to retile the roof, install new flooring, erect an iron fence, and decorate the space with artifacts, textiles, and furniture. It was the first historic site in Charleston to be deliberately restored and open to the public. It was listed as a National Historic Landmark in 1989, and around that time, the South Carolina Dames resolved to undertake an ambitious restoration of the structure. Enlisting the assistance of Historic Charleston Foundation, the Powder Magazine underwent extensive archaeological and architectural investigations and documentation. The interior was also changed to an interpretive space that tells the story of early Charleston, its walled city fortifications, and this building's use as a gunpowder magazine and beyond. Today, our exhibits tell these stories and more, and we interpret the space for guests and visitors from around the corner and around the globe. Museum visitors are provided with an orientation from our knowledgeable staff, and then can explore the building and exhibits at their own pace. In addition to our museum's collection items, such as this early 18th century armor, a Brown Bess musket, and a pair of 18th century cannons, we have lots of interactive and family-friendly games and exhibits. And our gift shop has a wonderful array of items that reflect our mission of preservation and education. In addition to tours, the Powder Magazine offers educational events throughout the year, including a trivia contest for Charleston tour guides and history buffs, 2 seasonal Zoom lecture series, and other events geared towards families like pirate encampments. Still, our favorite audience is the school children who visit us on field trips. Thousands of K through 12 school children come to the Powder Magazine each year to learn about Charleston's 18th century past. Our most popular program is Rebels in Redcoats, which is a multi-site field trip that we coordinate with the Old Exchange Building and the Charleston Museum's Hayward Washington House. Students learn all about the American Revolution as they explore politics, military readiness, and daily life in the city. Here at the Powder Magazine, they enlist in the militia. They learn about the science behind gunpowder. They roll cartridges, watch a musket demo, and take part in a cannon drill as part of the crew. With our period of significance and expertise in the Revolutionary War history, the Powder Magazine has also been leading the charge to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution in Charleston. In partnership with and through grant funding by the South Carolina 250th Commission, we've organized a theatrical reenactment of the 1773 Charleston Tea Protest and sponsored some exciting new research into British-occupied Charleston, 1780 to 1782. By sharing it all with the public, The Powder Magazine is igniting the revolutionary spirit and setting an example of how our community may commemorate and celebrate the 250 over the next few years. For content about our 250th outreach and for information about our events, our gift shop, educational opportunities, and more, you can visit our website at powdermagazine.org. We hope to welcome you soon to the Powder Magazine. As always, thank you so much for your support so that we can continue to keep the powder dry.